Thank you for joining us today. It is officially Thrive Thursday. I'm Laura Brandao, and today we have three guests. Even though one is not appearing at the moment, she's about to pop in. And we are going to hear from them how they have adapted and changed to our new world and are now thriving. Allow me to introduce our three lovely ladies. From Illinois, we have Staci Wilken. She is the executive director at Visit Kankakee County. From Kansas, we have Letysha Montgomery. She is a jewelry designer, an author, a speaker, and a podcast host. And from Maryland, we have Regina Gibbons. She is the executive director and founder of Why Not. Okay, Staci, let's jump into this. Let's hear over this last almost year now, we've all had lots of change and adaptation. But what we've noticed is as time progressed, we have changed and are now thriving in this new normal. So Staci, please tell us, how has that affected what's going on in your world?
Sure. First, thank you so much, Laura, for having me on. It's fun and it's great to see people from across the country here all sharing the same vision and excitement for the opportunity today. Just a little bit of background of what I do, which kind of helps understand too the challenges of the year, and then the ebbs and flows of really like just your mentality, right? So I'm the director of a destination marketing organization. So my job is to be an encourager and to be positive and to invite people to travel to our destination. And so, I started off 2020 doing a little bit of self-work in the previous year with a leadership coach, and really felt like this was going to be my year, and then things started shifting, right? So we also hosted Chicago Bears training camp. Early in the year, they decided they're transitioning home, so we lost them. We came into the year with another issue, and then of course COVID happened. And so, it's just the challenges were laying off staff because you don't have the revenue. And then we had to end up closing our office. So I found myself running home. Like I couldn't wait to get to that home office experience, to get out of like the struggles of personnel issues and, community relationships and just all of the struggles. And then coupling that too with being a parent of a soon to be senior in high school who was an active athlete who, as a parent, we try to control all the things to make our kids happy, right? To make it a world for them that they can thrive in themselves. And I felt like everything was out of my control. My work, the economy, the world pandemic, my son's future, his daily like happiness. And so truly, October hit and we moved home to our home office, and I was like, oh, I'm home. But then you kind of sit at home for a little while, and you're like, different things worked on me a little bit. And I had done a lot of self-work in the year before coming in, like I said, but I wasn't ready for the ebbs and flows of what this year threw at us. And I mean, there were days where I sat on the couch and watched Netflix like all day long. I couldn't put like clothes on, like crying. And then like what the best part of being prepared for the year was that I recognized those moments a little sooner. I didn't wallow in like really like the mundane misery of COVID and what that presented to our world. So I was able to like find new purpose. And so like transitioning to my the challenges of the year to where I'm now thriving is controlling the things I can control. My food, I've hopped back on the plant-based food diet. I feel fantastic. I'm exercising. I'm back in my yoga studio. I'm doing weights now, which is new to me. Back getting into it. Going to church again, making sure that I'm spending time getting my hair done, and then spending time with my
There was
son.
a lot of discussion about hair very early on in the pandemic. I have to tell you,
Yeah.
a lot of discussion about that.
I tell you what, it was December actually, and I was on the phone call with your guest from last week, Carrie, and I kind of was having like a breakdown, like, what am I going to do? And in that very moment, after that call, I called my stylist. I cut 7 inches of hair off. I started my workout. So really it was December for me where I'm
wow.
or late November, right at Thanksgiving. And I was like, take control. Like, you are better than this. And I challenged myself to get my life together. And what the most important thing I think I really learned here, even in the last month particularly, is giving myself permission to not be putting all my efforts into my work, which it sounds so horrible. And don't misunderstand me.
It's not
I
horrible.
know that I have to focus on me and my family so that I can come out of the other end of this stable and like a functioning human being that will contribute to my work, to my community, and then have that drive. Because like I mentioned at the beginning, my task as an employee is to be positive and like exciting. I can't do that if I'm broken, right? And so
Right.
that's really been important too, just like kind of taking hold of my my own existence in this world, and then practicing patience. I am a type A, on demand, like ask, get, next, move, you know, the to-do list for my son. Why aren't the chores done? I asked you 2 seconds ago. And so I've had to exercise patience in every aspect of my life. And it's something I needed to work on. I wouldn't have expected to be working on it as much this year, but time and like patience are 2 things that have really come strong at me this year. And so yeah, it's giving myself a little permission to work on patience, and then also to like understand that fatigue and like exhaustion is okay. You know, I'll have good days and bad. So yeah, I hope
100%. I mean, I think we all realize we can only focus on the things that we can control. All of us, right? Everyone in the whole world learned that certain things are beyond our control. And we had to learn that lesson, right? We had to learn that lesson. We also had to recognize that what was truly important. Because yes, we all are type A personalities, and we all have our goals, and we all have our dreams, and we're all crushing it, and we're being super everything out there, right? Super moms, super wives, super friends, super employees, super everything, right? But at the end of the day, if we're not okay, if we are not taking care of ourselves, we're no good to other people. But especially as women, we have difficulty with that. We struggle with saying, I have to take care of myself, because everybody else always comes first. So that is difficult. But I think, and I'm proud of you, Staci, for recognizing, number one, hey, I have to give myself some grace, right? I'm giving myself some grace.
Yeah, I've used grace a lot this year.
A lot of people are using grace.
Yeah, and in multiple capacities, like grace in handling what life's thrown at me with the pandemic, and giving myself grace to like be unstable here and there. Grace and, you know, the way I've handled my professional life. Not everyone handles crises and catastrophes and challenges in the same way. And in looking back, I look at the year like, okay, I did that, you know. Not
Yes,
everyone I know had to close down an office, put everything into a storage unit, lay their entire staff off. I mean, we're in the travel industry. People aren't traveling right now, you know. And so that is a big shift of like priority. In fact, I've kind of changed my own kind of mission, you know, like your cover letter, like your you know, like your spiel, right, about you. I've added into my spiel that I'm a mom of a 17-year-old and that my work-life balance is my priority. And if you like, if that's okay with you in whatever capacity our relationship is, whether it's a Zoom call and I got to take and get him something, like it's okay. Like we're all in this together, because we're not just employees anymore. Like we're moms and we're daughters, granddaughters, we're sisters, friends, you know, we're scared. And it gives me goosebumps actually, just like even thinking of the camaraderie of meeting 2 individuals, 3 that I don't know, and sitting on a call to talk about this vulnerable like space that we're in right now. So
yes, and those are the blessings that we've actually gotten out of this terrible time, because those were things that we all had an awakening, right? We had an awakening. And now I almost say this every week. The whole thing is what do we do with it as time goes by, right? As things change again, what have we learned and what will we continue to? And that's the part that we have to make sure we remember in the future.
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right. Next up, we have Letysha. I'm so happy that you were able to join us. She was having a little bit of technology trying to update her system. So Letysha, please share with us, how has it been for you, and what changes and what adaptation have you gone through that have now led you to thriving?
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yes, my system decided to update when I'm trying to, just not the right time. Okay, so when I think about 2020 and everything, started out well, I feel like, kind of, but we'll talk about it. Things adapting. Well, you talked about all the different things that I do. First off, I'll talk about being a jewelry designer. I do all my shows in person, and by March, all of my in-person shows were canceled for the year. And that was a big pivot and change because I hadn't done online shows. I feel like jewelry is something that is looked at best in person, people trying things on. I have been doing jewelry for, this will be my 15th year.
Wow.
So that was a very big change. So trying to pivot and get the jewelry online, all of that was something. One of the shows did go virtual, which was in and of itself something interesting, but a lot of the other shows just canceled, which was very disappointing. One of the shows, just is like, we're not even going to have it. They didn't do anything virtual. They didn't do anything. And it was one of my favorite shows that I look forward to every year and had done it for the last 5 years. So hopefully in 2021, it'll come. I don't know. Speaking, empowerment speaker is another thing. That was something I was doing in person. Looking forward to going to LA to do a big show. And that didn't happen thanks to COVID. Didn't get my beach vacation I was looking forward to. So all my vacations got canceled, and I'm still very disappointed and upset about that because I really need a vacation. But in the speaking, honestly, that turned into virtual as well, which was adjustment as well, because you can't really see the impact that you make on people virtually.
I agree.
You can't see them.
Yeah.
You can only see yourself. Like, I can see all of you guys, but on some of the speakers, like some of the platforms we're on, I could see the moderator and I can see myself. So I can't see the audience.
Yeah. You can't feed off of them. I know when I speak on stages, you feed off the audience. And when you lose that, it's difficult to know how you're doing or know what direction to go.
Right. And they ask you questions afterwards and all of that. And just to see their expression, just to connect with them, honestly.
Yep. Yes.
So you don't have that when you're doing virtual. Yes, it is a little easier because you don't have to travel and you're at home and all of that. But I like to see the audience and see their expression and know that I'm making a difference in what I'm saying. So I appreciate that. So that was hard as well, doing the virtual. But I mean, it's something different. We had to pivot with it. It's something all of us speakers had to deal with, was doing virtual shows. And I'm hoping, again, we get to have in person. I'm hoping we don't do virtual all the time. I guess we have to see what 2021 holds for us. Hopefully we get to have in person. But I did also a lot of blessings and things that I thrived at came on. Like, honestly, being on here and doing a Facebook Live is something that came out of 2020 and just everything in there. Last year, I would never do a Facebook Live.
See? There you go.
Never have done a Facebook Live on my personal page, my business page. Just don't do them. I'm asked all the time, why don't you do one? Just not a fan. Just don't do them on my page. I mean, if I had something I wanted to say or something particular, then, maybe I would, but otherwise I just don't. But that came out of it. Honestly, a book. I became an author.
Look at that.
Came out of 2020. It was just something random, honestly. I say it all the time. Being an author was not my idea. It was something that God blessed me with, honestly. I was the thought that God gave me that I should be an author to share my gift with people and share my message. We're in a pandemic. So I guess that was this thought that a book was a good way to get the message out. We're at home.
Yeah.
and so, all of that. I have not written my book yet. I was part of a collaborative project. Actually, two collaborative
but that's awesome, because being part of a collaborative is a start, right? That gives you kind of the confidence to say, I can keep going, to have your own. So that's fantastic.
I think it's a setup, because the first book was so many words.
Yeah.
The second hasn't come out in March, is longer. So I feel like it's a setup for, you can write the book because this chapter was so long, and
Yeah.
then chapter so long. And then, now I'm doing, it's kind of funny. I'm on this show, and then I have some other podcast interviews and different.
Awesome.
So I feel like I'm being set up for, your book is coming.
Yeah.
You're doing chapters you can write. I mean, this is the setup. You've got everything set up for you. So I feel like that's something that came from it. It's very funny that all of that came out of it, and it just happened. So, generically, God has a plan. And so I'm just following the steps, and I'm told, you need to write the book. Yes, I do. I have been busy. My first collaborative book just came out earlier in January.
That's awesome.
I've been doing that. My second one comes out in March. So I've been working on finishing up that. So I've got to work on my own. But those are all things that I feel like, if we weren't in a pandemic and 2020 was not the year that it was, I would not have done those.
That's right.
So
That's right. Think about it. I mean, as much as, you love speaking and doing the personal events, and that will come back. I don't know if it'll be back in 21, but it'll be back, right? It'll be back eventually. 22, who knows, right? Who knows? So, but with that, we were given the gift of time. And we were given the opportunity to have some time to do some things that we wouldn't have normally done, whether it was working on ourselves, whether it was writing, whether it was getting out of our comfort zones of doing live, Zooms and Facebook Lives and things like that. It gave us time. Maybe it was time to connect with our 17-year-old son, or maybe it was time for other types of relationships. So that time and that gift, that's where we thrive, right? All of those, the thriving isn't necessarily even marking off, check, I did something. The time could be bonding those relationships or working on ourselves. So that time gift is phenomenal. But Letysha, it sounds like you've adapted some of what you were doing, and you added new things. So not only have you morphed what you were doing, you've grown and expanded, and on a great way. Like you said, part of the plan, it looks like that plan is changing into something bigger for the future. So that's fantastic. That is absolutely awesome. All right, Regina, what has been going on in your world?
Well, so why not? We are also that in-person organization. We went into the schools and we work with the young people one-on-one, or we work with them in a group, and then they were assigned a mentor and they went on about their happy lives. So then here comes, there's no more school. So that means there's no more of us going into the schools. So it was a quick turnaround that I had to figure out, okay, well, what are we going to do now? We have to stay relevant. We have to figure out how to become relevant. So what else do? We do what everybody else did. We turned our programs virtual, and we still offer them the same way. We offer the 4 weeks, and we offer it virtually for an hour and a half. I would have kids sit on Zoom, and we talk about the same things that I would talk about face to face. I will say this whole virtual thing kind of has been a blessing and a curse for me, because I'm one of those people that my brain never stops. So if you give me more time, I'm going to give you more products. So because of that, whereas I was doing maybe 12 parent power series, we would do 1 a month. I went to doing 2 a month now. So when I gave the board, my calendar, they're like, wait a minute, how did we get here with all of these things? But And I'm also the person that if someone says something and I think it can be done, we're going to try it. We're going to try it. And so if you tell me, let's do a baking class. Well, okay, let's do a baking class. we'll try a baking class. And because everything is virtual, it makes it so much easier to make these things happen faster. So I think the push for me has been to just try everything, see what sticks. So I know that when we go back face to face, I already have a plan on what I'm going to continue. But for me, even when we go back face to face, I'm going to keep the virtual aspect because it's allowed me to connect with so many other people to run workshops for me. I'm doing a baking class come February 6th, and it's with somebody from my hometown who's actually leading the class. So it just gives me an opportunity to include really the world into what we're doing now. So
I love that. And I agree with you, Regina. It's interesting in my industry, I say the same thing. When our conferences went virtual, I agree with Letysha that I absolutely love that personal connection. But I noticed something. When we went virtual, people that were never allowed to get on airplanes and travel to go to conferences, they were able to be included.
Yeah.
So I absolutely went to our industry and said, guys, I'm telling you right now, we cannot stop that virtual component because there's a whole group of people that never get on the airplanes because maybe they don't have don't have people to take care of their children. They can't leave the office, whatever the situation. Those people need the same information as the people that get to go to those conferences. So you're right, Regina. I mean, I think we all different industries have learned, have both. It's not a one versus another.
Right.
Give multiple options so that way, like you said, you can serve more people and you can provide more opportunities to share information. So I think that's another thing that all of us have learned, that we adapted, and some things should not go away. We should actually continue and enhance and keep doing it, because it provides more value for everyone. And that's awesome. And Regina, we were speaking before we went live about what Why Not is. Please share with everyone what Why Not is.
So Why Not is a mentoring organization for young people ages 7 to 19. It stands for Knowledge, Nurturing Opportunities, and Teaching. Our mission is to stimulate knowledge, nurture ideas, create opportunities, and teach lifelong lessons. And we were established to eliminate the doubting of why and replace it with why not. So that's kind of what Why Not does.
That is very powerful. Well, how long has the organization been around?
We were established in 2018. So we've been here 2 years, really going on 3 now.
Wow. Well, you've come a long way, and listen, you've adapted, you've morphed through this change. I mean, my goodness. So kudos to everything you're doing. We wish you all the best to continue with the success of that. Okay. Now, everyone knows that my next question, this is the one I get the most enjoyment out of. And everyone knows also, if you've watched before, that I do give each of the guests a homework assignment, that before we go live, you are to ask a loved one or someone that cares about you what your superpower is. So at this time, I would love to hear, Staci, what is your superpower that you share with the world?
It's often hard to identify that, right? So I'm glad that you encouraged us to ask others, because I was going to have to cheat and ask someone else if you didn't let me do that. So I actually polled my family and I asked, hey, what is my superpower? And ironically, it's my brother, the youngest sibling of all 4 of us, the 33-year-old, who responded with, your superpower is how you like to help others with anything and everything. And I find joy from helping, if there's a problem, how can I help? I'm a fixer, I'm a supporter, I'm an encourager. My brother-in-law said grit and tenacity, which is really also true, because no matter how bumpy the road, I'm a single mom. I got pregnant in college. I graduated with a bachelor's degree and a 6-month bun in the oven. But I finished college and, I never looked back. My grandmother asked are you sure? How are you going to do this? And I reminded her that I had a great community of mothers around me to teach me how to be a mom. So that grit and tenacity has carried me throughout my parenting life, but also in my career. I I'd like to end with my son's thought to me, actually. And I didn't ask him, but my 40th birthday was on New Year's Eve. So just a couple weeks ago.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you. I actually was excited for 40. Like, this is going to be fun and I can't wait. So he wrote me a handwritten card, and because of the platform that your message is being positive, right? And just being encouraging. He said, 2020 was full of ups and downs. You always tried to find the positive in everything. And I feel like that is my superpower. I mission accomplished, right? 2020 sucked in so many ways, especially for a kid who's a 3-sport athlete, who loves socialization, who loves, like, we go fast, like we go. And no matter what, I tried as hard as I could to be as positive. You know, we lost sports, and I said, okay, if we lose sports, we're gonna substitute with a little bit of like safe travel. Like, we're gonna do what we can do to make you, like, we wouldn't have had those opportunities if he was playing sports. We got to go and be together. So like, he lost sports, we gained time together in a different way. And so, you know, despite any hiccup or like moment where I was just kind of floundering personally, professionally, both, whatever, he saw that I was being positive and making a difference in his life. And that's been my goal for 17 years. And I didn't stop in 2020. And so my superpower is that.
Well, I was going to say mission accomplished, Staci, because obviously he knows that.
He feels it.
He feels that. And I will also tell you that the memories that you put together in this last year, he will never forget that. That will live on to him long into the years of him being out of the house and, you know, having his own family. Those memories are there and they're cemented, and absolutely mission accomplished. So yes, thank you for sharing that superpower. And it is a fun exercise, isn't it? To get those opinions from others. It definitely is. Awesome. All right, Letysha, what is your superpower?
This is a fun question. I asked, and one person told me they couldn't tell me because I have so many.
That's all right. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Gonna give me one though, but, I asked other people, so I digress. I actually asked this on my Instagram a while back.
Cool.
The speaking group, that was one of the things the lady asked, is what is your superpower? So I will share a few answers from that as well. One of them was positivity. Always share positive quotes and different things on my Instagram. So that was one of the answers that I got. Also, I was told a couple different times, motivation. Always try to motivate other people. And I think that's why I like speaking so much. Podcast, education, motivation, all of that. Also creativity, very creative and all of that. I feel like my superpower, honestly, no one mentioned it. I feel like it's listening, because I feel like when someone has an issue, they always call me or message me or just want to talk to me, even strangers. So, but no one mentioned that. So that's what I feel like it is.
So very, very, very valuable. All of those things are extremely valuable gifts to the world. But you are right about, it's the thing that people know to come to you for, right? I think that's your superpower, whatever that is, right? So like if Staci is, all right, I know she's always going to look at the bright side of things. I better call Staci when I'm feeling like I need some of that lift, right? And Letysha, if it's, man, I just need to share. I need someone to listen that's not going to judge, that's not going to necessarily give me advice even. Maybe it's just for me to be able to share and have an open ear. So all of those things. And then, of course, to be inspired and motivated and empowered, all of those very strong, valuable words. That's motivation. That is so valuable. So awesome. Keep sharing those superpowers. All right, Regina, I think we kind of heard this a little before we went live, but yes, go, please share. What is your superpower?
So I did the same thing. I polled a few people to kind of see. And what I found interesting is that all of them said the same thing, but they said it in a different way. So the gist of what I was told is that, one, that I have the ability to make people feel comfortable no matter what. And then I was told that I remain calm in any situation. Like, it doesn't matter. I really don't get rattled by much. So if you ever see me upset, it had to be something major that took me to that place. And then lastly, it is the ability to assess situations and come up with an outcome with no judgment and make people feel good about whatever decision they make. So I guess
Wow.
those are my superpowers.
Those are pretty valuable superpowers, that's for sure. And all of those things, you can certainly see why your organization is successful. Because in order to take on mentoring our next generation and being able to be them to support them and all of the different components, all of that ties into that. So wonderful, wonderful. Wow, you ladies are amazing. Okay, awesome. All right, so now at this point, we get to hear who's joining me in 2 weeks on the show so that we can learn and meet and grow from our next group of guests. All right, Staci, who will I have the pleasure?
All right. So I was doing some thinking on, okay, who's willing to do something like this? And truthfully, I was sitting in the salon chair last night getting my hair done, telling my stylist, hey, like just, telling the story of what this is. And like a light bulb went off because she embodies all of the positive energy that you're looking for in this show. So her name's Tiffany Parpart. She is the owner of The Beauty Company, a local salon here in our hometown. And I'll let her tell her story in 2 weeks, but she embodies uplifting and being positive, encouraging, female growth and her team to just be the best version of themselves. Not just physical beauty, but inner beauty.
It's so interesting. We joked about, I told you, I have more stories about hair. like in the beginning of the pandemic, there were so many stories about, oh my God, what's going to happen to our hair, right? So, but think about someone that is in that position, right? Think of the stories they hear from the women sitting in their chairs. Think of how much trust you have in the person that you connect with. It is such a emotional bond. I can't even imagine what she hears and what she has to do to keep positive and be able, because it's not even about the outer beauty. Mm-mm. That actual position, you're almost a psychologist. When you think about, right?
We do when we need change. We cut our hair, we color our hair.
Right.
They are the quickest way that we can have an effect on our exterior self.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. And for better or worse, right?
Right. Well, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah. I'm thinking they hear everything. They hear about the kids and they hear about the jobs and they hear about us and every single thing. They hear it and they're involved. And I can't even imagine during this pandemic, it must have been very stressful and so a lot going on besides just her personal life. So, wow, we have not had someone in the beauty industry on the show. So I'm very interested to hear the perspective.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Great. All right, Letysha, I know you're working on your guests. So I think we're still in the works. So that will be a surprise. We'll have a surprise there, right?
Person in mind. I'm just trying to get in. They had a little bit of an emergency today.
No worries. That's okay. So we will see her guest in 2 weeks. And Regina, who do we have the pleasure?
So it's interesting because my person is in the beauty field also.
I told you it's very freaky how things connect.
Yeah. So her name is Angela Macon. She is the owner of Beautifly Makeup Services. And I too will also let her tell her story. But she is the person that I think, and I had 2 people in mind. One was a little nervous, so I'm going to still try and get her on.
Yeah.
But I do think that Angela is a great a great candidate for this show as well.
Wow, look at that. What are the odds? We've had no one in the beauty industry. Now we have two. Wow,
Right.
that is awesome. Well,
Right.
ladies, thank you so much for sharing your stories. Thank you so much for being a light to the world, because it really, we see that the world gets a little bit smaller every time that we do this. So thank you so much. Be well, be safe, keep thriving, and take care.
Thank you.
Yeah.